What's up, guys? Dave Mate here. I just want to talk about mate water. What is mate water? How to make it? Why it's so important? Salud. Circle of drink. Now, let me just start off by saying a lot of people become overwhelmed with the whole mate water, the temperature, the kettle, whether to boil the water or not boil the water. It becomes a sort of a topic of confusion sometimes. But let me just start off by saying relax, take it easy. Mate is all about being relaxed, but yes, mate is also about patience and, building up the time to really learn how to make mate properly. And don't feel bad or intimidated or overwhelmed when you don't exactly make mate the perfect way for the first couple times, or perhaps in some cases the first couple weeks or months. Mate can be very complicated to make at times, but at the end of the day, some mate in your system is better than no mate. So no matter how you make it, get it in your system, drink it, and feel great. With that said, the main thing to understand is that you don't want to boil the water. Don't boil the water. When you make pasta or you're making whatever it is on the stove, any other type of food that needs boiled water, you fully boil the water where you have a rolling boil. With mate, you just want to have little tiny bubbles appearing at the base of the kettle. Once those bubbles are appearing, that usually coincides with heavy steam coming out of the kettle. That's it. Take off the mate, take off the kettle, and your mate water is ready. Now, some people may not have a kettle where you could see down into it, so you may want to use a thermometer to gauge the temperature. 78 degrees Celsius is a good gauge. That's about 172 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. You don't want to exceed that. If you exceed that, then the water is too hot and you will burn the mate. Mate is very delicate. The reason why you don't use boiling water is because it'll destroy the nutrients. It'll be sort of like making an espresso, and you'll get a nice shot from the mate, but the subsequent cycles of the mate, when you pour more water into it, will be totally diminished. The value of the mate will be diminished. You won't be able to obtain the nutrients, so it's not worth it. Don't do that. Spilling a little today. So I don't recommend using a thermometer. I like to use my senses. I've never used a thermometer. It took me about 3 years, one day, just to, I was curious to see if I was getting where the water was. So I dropped the thermometer and then to test it, and it always came out exactly how I wanted it, how I felt like I wanted it. But I never use a thermometer. I just go based upon my senses. Sometimes I'll put my finger into the water to feel it, and I'll get a gauge on how hot it is. If I keep my finger in there for more than 2 seconds, then it's not hot enough. But if I put it in there, got to take it right out, then it's usually hot enough. I'm also looking, visual indicators. If the bubbles are popping up, little bubbles are popping up, those little bubbles turning into medium bubbles, boom, take it off. Never let it go to a rolling boil. I'm also listening. I'm listening in on the kettle. Different stoves produce different sounds. Different kettles produce different sounds. There's a lot of variables you have to consider, but as you continue to make mate, you'll understand the sound, the exact sound when the water's perfectly ready. I would recommend using your senses. Use your feelings, kinetics. Use your sight, visual. Use your hearing. Don't rely too much on the thermometer unless you have to. Maybe in the beginning it's better. General rule of thumb, 78 degrees Celsius is fine for pretty much all mate. In a couple days or a couple weeks, I'm not sure when, I'll make another video with some more advanced techniques where, based upon the sort of mate you're using, whether it's a gaucho or a Paraguayan or a different type of mate from Argentina, you may want to increase that temperature slightly higher or decrease it. That has a lot to do with the type of mate, the cut, things like that. General rule of thumb though, 78 degrees Celsius. I use Celsius because my training comes from Argentina, South America, Uruguay. They use Celsius, so I kind of carry that over So if you need to transfer that over to Fahrenheit, go ahead and use a calculator to do that. So just take it easy, guys. Mate water is vital. You need to get the right water, though. There's no way around it, and it may take time. You know, it took me years really to fully begin to understand mate water. And that may sound kind of crazy. Like, why would it take you years? Because it's hard to explain, but to get the water at that right temperature to sort of coax the water where you need it to be, it takes a lot of intuition. It takes a lot of understanding. It takes a lot of patience and time. So it's not just a matter of putting on the kettle, walking away, letting the water boil, and then letting it cool down, then adding it. No, it has a lot to do with the relationship you have with the mate, how to make the water properly, how to see exactly when those swirls are appearing in the kettle, when the little bubbles are appearing, thinking about, you know, what thermos you're going to be using. Maybe that thermos, releases more heat than another sort of thermos, so you're going to increase the bubbles to a larger size, make the water a little bit hotter. Things like that come into consideration later on, you know, as you begin to master the mate water. But right now, guys, wait for the little bubbles to appear at the base of the kettle. That coincides with heavy steam. That usually takes about 5 to 6 minutes on your kettle. Take it off, your mate water is ready. If you cannot see down inside of the kettle, use a thermometer. And that's it. That's all you got to worry about right now for mate water. Enjoy, guys. Salud. Thanks a lot. This is Dave Mate. Check out circleofdrink.com. Peace.